Okay, well, you read the title. Thor Love and Thunder is a movie that exists. And what do I mean by that? Well, this slide says it all. It was pretty mediocre as far as Marvel movies go. Before I start this video, I just want to say that even though I personally did not like the movie, I know there's a lot of people who did, and I respect your opinion, and I hope you can respect mine. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. So, Thor Love and Thunder. I was cautiously optimistic for this movie. After seeing Black Widow and Doctor Strange, which are the last two Marvel movies I've seen that I didn't really care for, but still went and saw anyway. Um, I had very low expectations for this one. While I love the Thor mini franchise, I guess it's a franchise within a franchise, it's gotten a bit stale, just like all Marvel movies have. Um, it doesn't seem, it seems like it wants to change its identity to more fit the Guardians of the Galaxy style. You know, the 80s headbanging rock music and a lot of cool one-liners and just to focus on comedy, and it doesn't feel like that was what Thor was. I'm one of the 25 people who liked the original Thor, even though when it released and I was still kind of a kid. So, I thought it was boring, but I rewatched it recently and it was just really good because it was rooted in the fantasy and mythology of Thor. And I know that's kind of all uprooted and during Ragnarok because, Ragnarok happens and Asgard is destroyed, but I don't think they had to rewrite his entire character. Like, honestly, Ragnarok is the first movie where Thor starts to turn into just this goofy person. And he wasn't that before. The first Thor was a dark and brooding movie about Thor losing his powers, getting banished to Earth, and he has to regain his worthiness to hold Mjolnir and basically save Asgard from Loki. And then the Dark World kind of further expands on that with a Malekith coming in and uh, taking the ether, which is the reality stone, and trying to change reality to where Asgard doesn't exist or something. Dark World was pretty forgettable as well, but it was still relatively good. Um, but Love and Thunder just feels like a movie that just didn't need to be made and is only there just to give Disney another $500 million at the box office. Um, and this is a problem that's been happening with Marvel movies ever since Endgame. I feel like we peaked in the late 2000s, early 2010s with that just slew of original Marvel movies. You had Iron Man 2, Thor. The Incredible Hulk is a cult classic for some people. I've never seen it. You had Captain America, which still the first Avenger one is still my favorite superhero movie of all time because it's set in World War II and it has superheroes too, my favorite things. Um, so personally, Marvel got off to a really strong start with the MCU, and then everything came to a head in Infinity War, where there were stakes, and the it's a tragedy. Infinity War, and then Endgame is a tragedy too, because I'm not even gonna say spoiler alert because this movie's 3 years old, but Iron Man is gone. Iron Man dies, and that kids is how you make the highest grossing movie franchise on planet Earth. Um, is by making cohesive stories that are really good, really fun to watch, but also have a serious tone to them. That was the problem with Love and Thunder. It tried to make a joke out of like everything. It's like the classic Cade 6 line from Destiny 2, where he just says some random offshoot thing that's related to the story and then just says, there's a joke in there somewhere. It feels like that's what this movie is trying to do. Um, you know, there are just a lot of dumb jokes in the movie. I won't get too deep into spoiler shit because I won't get into spoilers really because it was just that forgettable and personally I didn't care. It was enjoyable for the most part. I really enjoyed the part where they went to see Zeus because Russell Crowe's portrayal of Zeus was really funny. Um, because keep in mind the last movie I had seen Russell Crowe in was Gladiator, and so seeing him go from a serious Roman warrior and that to like just this goofy Greek god was kind of funny. Again, I still don't like this focus on goofy stuff, but that's neither here nor there. Um, But then the Guardians of the Galaxy are in this movie. At first, I thought they were going to take part on the quest with him because Marvel announced that the Guardians would be reprising their roles. I was like, ooh, cool. So this is going to basically, they're going to help out Thor in this one, and then assuming they're going to split up, and then the Guardians get ready for Volume 3. No, that actually happens in this movie, because in the first 10 minutes, we see the Guardians do nothing. They just kind of stand around while Thor wipes out an entire army. Um, cool, I guess. And then Chris Pratt delivers a rousing message about don't give up on the people you love and stuff like that. And then, you know, it was, again, it's just forgettable movie. Um, but I've kind of bashed this movie for about 6 minutes. Let's talk about some of the good things and what I liked. The action scenes were well choreographed. I mean, this should just be a given. I mean, it's a Marvel movie. These are action movies by default. It's just it was a really good movie. In terms of how the fight scenes were. The CGI was very jarring at times. It did look really cartoony, like a lot, and that's because it was this huge trek through the realms and stuff like that, and it kind of bugged my eyes out a little bit. Just how weird and off the CGI looked compared to like Infinity War and Endgame. The goats were a great part of this movie. The goats had me and my friends rolling with laughter when we saw them, because for some reason we think screaming is just humor, nowadays. So we were laughing at that part. Obviously Jane Foster's return was really cool. It was cool to see her become a superhero and basically get a better. It's better to catch up with her this way than how just at the end of Dark World she was just kind of erased from the timeline, so to speak. Yeah. And the last good thing about this movie, the banger soundtrack. I like 80s rock music, so in the final battle when November Rain is playing and Thor's just beating up a bunch of bad guys, it was sheer cinema at that point. And there were parts of this movie that felt like they could be great, but it just didn't really add up to a cohesive whole. It wanted to do all these different things. It wanted to be a brooding action thriller. It wanted to be a crazy off the rails 80s style action movie, and then it just wanted to be a goofy comedy. Korg was enjoyable as always, and that was about it. Everything else was just kind of dumb. I mean, Valkyrie returned. Yay. She's like a completely different character, and I guess that's because she has responsibilities and, whatever. King Valkyrie. I didn't get that whole thing. Apparently she's king when you would think it'd be Queen Valkyrie, but whatever. You do you, I guess. And I guess it was just not as good as I thought it would be. The Thor franchise, even Ragnarok, which, I kind of scathed a little bit at the beginning of this video, how I just didn't really care for how they switched the focus from a cool medieval fantasy movie to more of a goofy 80s style action movie. But, I mean, Ragnarok still had its good part. It was a cohesive story that actually had stakes, whereas Love and Thunder is just, oh no, Christian Bale is coming to murder us. I'm pretty sure Chris Hemsworth just signed a multi-movie contract with Marvel, so, of course he's going to survive. It's stuff like that that just kind of ruins the movie for you, because there's no real stakes. Sure, Gorr is a good villain, and Christian Bale's acting is amazing as always. There were parts where he was genuinely frightening, and we made a couple of good jokes about him too, because, that's all we can do when we're sitting in a movie that we paid $20 for and don't really care about. But yeah, alright, to sum up, Thor Love and Thunder, it's okay. Again, as the title says, it's a mediocre movie. It's probably it's not a good Thor movie, it's a okay Marvel movie, but in terms of just storytelling and overall cohesiveness, it didn't really flow well. There were a bunch of characters that they shoehorned in, like Civ just is there for no reason, just a cameo almost. It's just, you have no plot relevance, why are you here? And then, other than that, I can't think of any other any other way to talk about this movie more without repeating things or saying or talking about things that don't really matter. Um, there are a lot of people talking about how this movie is failing at the box office. It's doing okay at the box office. It's not doing endgame numbers, but will anything ever do endgame numbers besides maybe Avatar 2? Um, and plus, there's a lot of people online saying that, oh, this movie is not doing as well because of the woke agenda. I mean, okay, there might have been some virtue signaling or something in this movie. Um, that's up to you to decide. Personally, I don't care. I didn't care enough. I just kind of shut my brain off during this movie. And if I wanted to nitpick everything, I would. Um, but you know, it doesn't really matter in the long run. And the whole reason I think this movie is not doing as well as people would think it would have been is because the same reason Lightyear's not doing that well. People just really are burnt out and don't really care about it anymore. And um, yeah, I'm sorry for all the stuttering. I don't want to repeat myself, so I'm trying to think of my words without um, taking too long pauses. But yeah, it's just a movie that no one really cared about, and it's something that'd be like, I'll watch it when it comes to Disney Plus. So there you have it. That's my Thor review. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Keep being awesome, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.